Hello everyone, hello again, welcome back on my YouTube channel. Thank you guys for liking, for subscribing on my YouTube channel. I'm actually grateful for the support that I'm actually receiving from you guys. If you feel like my content is for you, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe on my YouTube channel. My purpose of my YouTube channel is to uplift others, is to make others for to create a place where they actually feel like they actually belong, in a place where I don't allow judgment, where I actually speak my own truth, allow myself to be guided by my spirit to talk about whatever that I feel as authentic, as for it's my own truth that is actually authentic to me, as well as my purpose is to uplift others. So I created this YouTube channel to speak my own truth, to speak about my own perspective about whatever that is actually going on in the world, talking about content that are actually sensitive to a lot of people that are not feeling like speaking about, but I'm gonna speak about because that was my purpose of creating this YouTube channel. So I'm just gonna speak about too much of everything is toxic. When I'm talking about too much of everything is toxic, have you ever drink a lot of water and you end up experiencing side effect of drinking water, but at the same time you know water is healthy for you, you don't believe water can cause any illness towards you, so end up having experiencing side effect of drinking so too much water, but at the same time you know water is something that is actually healthy and everything. So I'm actually gonna speak about too much of everything is toxic. So I'm just gonna refer on my own personal experience. I'm not only just gonna talk about what I was just an example about too much of everything is toxic, because a lot of people just assume the only time that we're actually talking about too much of everything is when we're actually speaking about uh, things that are actually harmful to us, for example drugs. But there are actually a lot of things that are actually serving a purpose of our own personal development that can be too much for you to the point that they end up becoming too toxic. For example, I used to read a lot of books and I still do, but now I read books according to how I actually am guided to read, because sometimes I'm reading books just because I'm traumatized. I have a trauma of being told that I'm not good enough, that I have I'm traumatized by the fact that I've been told that I'm not good enough. I've been told that I'm not smart enough. I've been told about a lot of things that actually make me feel that I'm actually not good enough. So what I do, I don't heal. I ended up not healing the trauma. Instead, I end up doing a lot of reading, doing a lot of things. Yes, reading is part of my life. I just love reading. I don't see myself not attaining a new information in any way. So but for me, I was controlled by actually a trauma. For the trauma was causing me to want to study everything, to know everything. A lot of people used to assume I'm Miss Know It All, which was not true. I was traumatized, you know. My trauma led me to do too much. My trauma led me to compensate too much. My trauma led to me to do a lot of things, a lot end up being people pleasing, being in a place where I'm actually doing too much for everyone, doing too much to show up that I'm actually enough in any manner. So doing too much for everything, it can be too much. It can be anything that is actually healthy. For example, I'm just okay, I drink a lot of water a day, probably 5 liters or more. And honestly speaking, initially I was okay with that, especially when it's summer. But I'm just finding it's causing some difficulty in my body. I don't know what exactly. I'm just still I'm still investigation what exactly that is giving me this kind of problems with water. I drink a lot of water, like a lot of water, like a lot. As I speak, it's I'm making this video, it's around 1 p.m. and I already drank about 3 liter. Mind you, it's not even that much, but I've already had 3 liter or three something water. And I don't like it because it made me feel some kind of way now. I just it doesn't give me um the energy, the way I used to vibrate when I actually drink water normally. So there's nothing wrong with drinking a lot of water, but sometimes you need to understand your body. You need to understand that too much of everything, even if it's something that is actually good for you, it's toxic. I'm just not. I'm gonna talk a lot about things that are actually positive. That can, when we are doing a lot of them excessively, they can cause a lot of They can be toxic. I'm a yoga lover, so I've been doing yoga for the longest time. But 2019, 2020, as well as 21, I've been doing yoga consistently, which is something that I'm actually proud. Unless if I've been doing yoga consistently, unless if I'm on my period, because on my period I don't do exercise, I don't do yoga, I don't do too much on my body, I do less. So I used to pride myself with doing yoga consistently, because obviously when I began I used to be not consistent. I'll be like, oh, I'm going to do it 3 times or 4 times a week, and then I made it to a goal that I'm gonna make yoga every fucking day. And you know what happened? My spine, 2020, I got sick. It was around August. I got sick with something that I don't know, and my spine, I don't know what happened, but I couldn't move. I had a spine problem. I My body, I don't know whether it was delocated or what, but it caused a lot of pain on my back. I couldn't move straight. I used to move with side in a most painful way. It was painful. It was painful to go and take a bath. It was painful to move. So I had to eat less during that time. I had to stop doing yoga. It took me a lot of time to understand that actually what was causing me to experience that physically difficulties that I experienced, or what caused them, until I realized it was yoga. There's nothing wrong with doing yoga. It's one of the most healthiest coping mechanism, one of the most healthiest for you to be mindful. It helps you being mindful, it helps you to being present. It allow you to breathe through the movement of the body with soul, as well as soul, mind and spirit. It allow you to connect with yourself. It allow you to connect with source, whether you call it God, what God, spirit, whatsoever. It's another way of connecting with yourself, coming back home to yourself. It's bring you to be present. It allow you to think about the present rather than being cluttered about a lot of things that are actually happening around you. It uplifts your spirit. So I'm a huge fan of things that are actually uplifting. So yoga is one of the things that I actually go to. It's one of my things, spiritually ritual, that I actually go for in whatever reason. It's yoga as well as morning walks. Both of them cause a lot of difficulty in me. I end up having to stay for 2 weeks without having any kind of that. I went to the hospital and they told me that they don't know what I'm actually struggling with. But and eventually, after a few times, when I was reflecting on that 2 weeks, a period where actually I was not doing anything. I was frustrated. I felt like a potato, and I realized all along I was doing too much of the yoga as well as moving a lot. Like I used to take walks for 7 days. I used to do yoga for 7 days, which was something that it was uplifting. I felt like, but I ended up noticing that it doesn't allow me to be vulnerable. It doesn't, because I was chasing the uplifting spirit. I was chasing the happiness. I was chasing, because every time when I actually move my body, the stagnant energy moves away from me. I end up having a lot of energy to do a lot, but I was ignoring my emotional needs because I was doing too much until that period of 2 months. That's when I realized I was holding a lot. I was holding a lot. I was not being vulnerable with myself. I was not being genuine with my own feelings. I was passive. I was passive. I was not being present. I was present, but I was not being present in my own needs. I was not asking my body what is exactly feeling. I was not exactly knowing what is actually happening. I'm so thirsty. So that's what happened. So too much of everything can be toxic in any manner. So whatever that you're doing that is actually healthy for you, you should set boundaries with yourself. I still struggle with reading, because I'm that person who's actually hate doing one thing for the longest time. So when I'm actually reading a book, I want to read a book at least 1 week or 1 month, and then be done with, but now I'm okay with reading a book for actually for 2 months, for 3 months, which is a same book. Sometimes I actually open more than one book, because why not? So I no longer limit myself with that. I no longer have this kind of thing that I have to finish it, I have to read it, I have to finish it now, or what else. So I used to limit. I was more like a villain in my life, with doing too much of everything. Too much, because when you're actually reading a book, a lot of people will admire, be like, wow, I wish I can read book like you. They don't know sometimes you're being controlled by trauma. Doing yoga, my purpose of doing yoga, obvious, it was for the benefit of it. But at the end of the day, I realized I wanted to be those people who would do yoga with certain posture that I'm actually not yet being able to do them. So I was wanting to do it like them. I want to do a lot of. I still don't know how to do hands handstand, but I've been doing yoga for 3 years, so I was frustrated with that. I wanted to do more stretch or whatsoever, but my body, it didn't allow me. Instead, I noticed that actually, because I was so focused on doing handstand or whatsoever, which I'm trying to do, but I'm not yet there. So while I was focusing on doing this handstand, I realized actually my body, I can do now split. So I'm able to do split now, but at the same time I didn't notice, because I was too focused on being able to master this pose that I actually are good. But I was so focused on this poses rather than the poses that I can actually do now. So what I'm talking about, too much of everything, even it's healthy things, is toxic. It can be reading books, it can be exercising. Sometimes we end up being injured out of the blue, and we'll be like, there was no way I can get injured with that. So until you realize, you know what, probably the universe was trying to get your attention, because you're too much focused on the routine, doing everything right, being a perfectionist, doing everything in a way that you feel like you are guided to do, doing everything in a right way. You were so into your routine, but sometimes it's okay to miss that exercise. It's okay to miss that yoga class. It's okay to miss whatever spiritual ritual that you actually having, because sometimes you have to do things in a different way in order for you to be open to another way of learning. It's okay to be in your comfort zone, but allow yourself to break a little bit in your bubble. Sometimes it can be a simple thing as probably you buy clothes at, okay, you buy grocery uh only, okay, for me, I usually go buy grocery in the morning because I actually have a serious anxiety. I don't like crowded places, so I know in the morning a lot of people are at work or school whatsoever, as well as in the evening. But sometimes in the evening, I am mindful that a lot of people who are in who went to buy things in the evening like a grocery is because they have cars. So a lot of people, when you, like me, who use public transport, that taxi at that time they're expensive, but you don't mind spending money on that because you're gonna meet less people, it won't be crowded, you just having that kind of mentality. So I ended up breaking those rules, and one day I just went in the during the day, around 1 a.m. Yes, it still gave me some sort of anxiety, but I was like, you know what? It's not better as I think it is. Like breaking a little bit in your pattern, like a little bit in your routine. It's something that is okay. You shouldn't beat yourself about it. So too much of everything is toxic. It can be anything. Like probably you working on a project that needs every day. Like for example, you are social media manager. Your work obviously need you to be present on your social media. You are supposed to do a lot of things on your social media, but at the same time it's okay to take a break from it. It's okay to take a break from your social media, even if you are a digital marketing, but whatsoever, anything that is actually digital, whatsoever. So it's okay to stay back and allow yourself with a sort of time for reflection, time for a new adventure. It's okay to experience all that. So thank you guys for liking, for subscribing on my YouTube channel. I really appreciate the support you're actually giving me. Thank you again. So don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe on my YouTube channel, and don't forget to share when someone you feel like my content will be good for them. So bye.